I met a man who sang the blues. He asked me for some happy news, but I just smiled and turned away. Yes, American Pie by Don McLean. So it's the 7th of March 2023. It's my dead mother's yahrzeit, anniversary of her death. We've just clicked over. It's about 12:30ish in the morning. And I got to thinking with that song gently sprinkling through the windmills of my mind. I got to thinking about a former lover, and he's been on my mind a lot lately, and I don't know why, because he's not really in my life, so he's got no business taking up space in my head. So maybe it's because the spirits of the ancestors, my evil, rotting progenitors, are pulling on my energy because I haven't been very well. Yesterday, as of, up until it clicked over midnight, yesterday the 6th, was a hard day emotionally. It was my father's birthday. So I'm hammered by fate and by ancestors and people that were not kind, not loving, not nurturing, not supportive. I mean, they made a good show. They made a good charade of it and managed to impress strangers. But in reality, my home was a hellhole of epic proportions. So, but my friend on Facebook, who I've not met in real life, who lives in Holland in the Netherlands, reminded me that I bring goodness and beauty and strength back into life, back into my life, in spite of all the evil doers that have come and gone, and some have in fact died of natural attrition. So she reminds me that, she actually wrote to me very lovingly and said she wishes she could spend time with me and be with me in real world, like have a cup of tea with me and hang out with me. And I thought was extremely sweet and kind. And but in real world, I'm a mess. In real world, I'm not actually much fun to be around at the moment. I even had some weird cysts pop open on my back earlier this evening, so that was a bit scary. I'm falling apart at the seams between the arthritis, the bowels, the interminable complex PTSD, and the unrequited love obsessions. Well, they're not really obsessions anymore, are they? They're oppressions of almost a demonic oppression that I shall have to shuck off yet again. Every now and then I come up for air and I start feeling good about life, and then I just go down the spiral, and I'm not sure what that's about. I can't blame the other entity since he's not really in my life and doesn't make contact anymore. So it lands with me now that I have to put that zombie ghost to bed permanently. Stab it in the heart with a wooden stake and kick it to the curb and move on. And I am getting men who are paying me quite a lot of romantic type attention lately at the casino. I am getting men who are being very sweet and kind. So there's potential, right? There's potential for me to find a true and good and decent love. And I need to stomp that demon back into the, seventh echelon of hell, so I can invite new love into my life. I can't bring someone into my life while I'm still deeply wounded and suffering like a wild animal. And it's ridiculous, as I keep saying in my videos. But I got to thinking just before I retired to my bed, and I got to thinking, this ex-lover, this casual fling flung flong phalange face that plays games on the internet with drumming and various other little games he played over the years. He once said to me when we were first involved, however briefly, he once said to me that I need to declutter my house, and he would never set foot in it again, but that I needed to declutter, which was true in those days. It was full to the chockers of not just my mother's stuff, but I was also carefully storing my daughter's stuff while she was in Europe too. So there was that. But anyway, he told me to declutter, and I've decluttered. I finally finished decluttering. I think it was late last year. I finally got rid of the last things that I didn't really want, and then just the other week, just a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, weekends ago, I finally sold my mother's fur coat. So that was another piece of my mother that I had stored in my house for the last since 2008, so more than that, 15 years. So finally let that go. I didn't get a lot of money for it, but, $70, but, that's all right. It wasn't really so much about the money. It was just the principle, wanting to move the energy on. Let someone buy it who enjoys it. Oh boy, will it be enjoyed. And so that went. And there's a few other bits and pieces I've still got on Facebook Marketplace that I'd like to sell, because that's still part of this decluttering, right? How much decluttering can one woman do? And I'm not a minimalist. I don't want to declutter and end up with completely nothing and sit in one room and stare at blank walls and blank everything and just be an NPC, blankety blank. I like having beautiful things around me, and I fought hard for my inheritance, the few chattels I did get. But I'm gradually transmuting the energy and swapping things over. And I'm also frantically channeling every penny I have of my pension into buying things for my silversmithing, so that I can potentially make beautiful things and generate a bit of an extra income that way. It hasn't happened yet. I haven't sold anything, but I'm teaching myself new skills, and I'm very proud of my Yoda, my Star Wars Yoda character that I cast in sterling silver. And then today I tried, I shared the video earlier, I tried melting copper again. It was a success and it was a failure, but it was a bit more successful than before when I didn't have the Smith Little torch. So that has potential for me to be able to use up the scrap copper I have and learn that skill. So I spent the evening, the last few hours, trying to figure out how I can melt the copper, because I'm going to need a steel crucible. So I was looking all through Facebook Marketplace at little cast iron frying pans and little pots and that. And I realised I don't know if it will work with cast iron, especially enamel, because the copper has to reach quite a high temperature to melt. But I realised after spending a few hours, looking through all of that on Facebook Marketplace, that I actually have a small little cast iron frying pan where the enamel has actually started to peel off. It was just a little cheapy one I bought in Aldi at some stage. So I thought, why am I going out looking to buy second-hand pans when I've got one I can use here? The only thing I'm worried about it is the handle might get too hot and crack or explode or something. I'm a bit nervous about it. I think steel would be better, just a good piece of angle iron, but I need something that's got like a bowl shape or a cup shape so I can sit the copper in it, melt it and pour it out, right? So that's why I got obsessed thinking I could maybe use a piece of cast iron cookware. So anyway, I might experiment with that in the next few days. But I've got to buy more gas. I've got to refill my gas bottle, so I can't do anything until that's refilled because I've run out. So I was focusing on that, but then I got to thinking about the beloved one. I don't even want to empower him by saying his name because I really think he's demonic now. I mean, he's not even in my life, and I still have him constantly trawling through my thoughts. And then I move between feelings of like absolute sadness that nothing ever worked out for me, not just with him, but with any of the lovers I had over the years, and up to including my first boyfriend and husband, and how awful they really were, and how many of them actually actively tried to kill me, right? So, like, literally tried to kill me. So, and then I got to thinking about my friend Karen, who turned up at the casino on Friday night. We haven't really sort of spoken much in the last few years because I fell out with her and another woman that was a regular, that is a regular at the casino. So Karen turned up and she was sort of a bit awkward around me, but then eventually joined in and danced with me and my friend Joe and Sally. So that's fine. Like, I don't have any enmity towards her. I just lost trust in them when they were being so bitchy. Not Karen per se, but the other one. Being so bitchy and degrading at her birthday party back in 2019, actually, around Christmas time. So there was that. So it's been a good few years since I've spoken to either of them. So anyway, but then I got to thinking about Karen because it reminded me that she actually said to me, this is not long before we fell out. That wasn't the reason we fell out. I just fell out with her because she'd aligned with this other woman who was being quite snarky and degrading and humiliating and vicious. So I thought, well, if she wants to be friends with her, she can. I'm not in bloody kindergarten. I just don't want to deal with the shit, so I just distanced myself completely. But Karen actually had reminded me. She said, the beloved one. She said it quite distinctly. She said, they're trying to kill you. And by they, she meant him and Sarah, my former friend as well. Because it really was a kick in the face how they sat there early 2019, early 2020? I think it was early 2020, 2019. See? Time really does heal wounds. You start to forget. I might forget, but I don't forgive. Anyway, they sat there and outside the kebab place and thought they would humiliate me by holding hands and acting all lovey-dovey. And he even withdrew his hand from her, so he knew He knew it was a nasty little schoolboy game to play. He knew. He knows deep down. He knows. It was a cuntish thing that they did. Anyway, I had some other creep running up the street demanding I kiss him. Some random stranger I didn't even know, and that really triggered me because the beloved one sitting there with my former friend, who I nursed for 5 days when she was blind. Another parasite and a user and just complete psychic vampire. Another one that needed a stake in her chest. But anyway, that was years ago now. That was back in early 2014 when I nursed her, when I thought she was a decent human being and a good friend, right? Amazing how I found out very quickly. True colours always reveal themselves, usually very quickly, right? So anyway, vampire queen and zombie boy sat together, and this other idiot who I don't even know from Adam was running up behind me up George Street demanding I kiss him. And then there was a whole group of like homeless people, homeless men, looking at me in awe because they could see I was in a quiet little rage because I'd walked past those two ghouls and then had this other weird stalker as well. So I cracked a shit. Like, it was stressful. It was a bit stressful, the whole thing. And then I went into the shop and bought myself actually all these like red licorice straps that I used to always have at the end of my night, but they don't sell them anymore. I haven't for a couple of years now. Anyway, so I came out and I said to the homeless man, look, I've never seen anything more filthy than what I've seen tonight. I said, but you guys aren't filthy. Here, have a lolly. And I gave them each a lolly. It was a mad night that night. And I even told one of the homeless men off. I said, I've seen you in my local area. You're not really homeless, And he was like, yeah, I am. I really am homeless. My missus died. So that was weird. So then I gave him a kiss on the cheek because I felt mean for calling him out on not really being homeless. And then he tells me his missus has died, so that made me feel like, oh, well, why am I being mean to this guy? It's not his fault. I'm surrounded by fucking filthy enemies in the night, So anyway, all that happened, and it was just one of the most bizarre nights of my life. 5th of January it was. I think it was 2019. And anyway... So I stomped past the two creeps, zombie 1 and vampire queen bitch 2. Yeah, crazy night. And then I went past and got accosted by more homeless men out the front of the casino. I had a little chat to them, and it was a very spiritual night that night. And at that time, Karen had said, don't even look at him, because he'd turned up, the ex-lover that is. He had turned up earlier in the night in the casino to spy on me, with one eye. Demonic he was. And she said, don't even look at him, he's trying to kill you. And, and I thought, oh, she's just paranoid. But it came to me this evening. I thought they probably were trying to kill me. And, they know that I attempted suicide in 2015. So they knew which buttons to press, right? They were just vicious beyond belief. So, anyway, the karma's theirs now. I've risen above their evil bullshit, and I'm thriving in my weird little psychedelic dream and my own little reality, my own little world here at Sacred Space. And when I say thriving, I mean I'm still livid about the cards that were played and the NPC caricatures and the zombie half-dead fucking gimps that they were. I am angry about it still. I'm not over it. I'll probably never be over it. I'll probably take it to the grave with me, the viciousness that I endured. But it's not just their viciousness. It was just, one thing too many after a horrific life and horrific family, horrific husband, horrific partners, and then going out dancing, hoping to meet someone lovely. And I copped that pile-on of excrement that happened, and back in 2014 to 15. It was just heinous. It was heinous. So, yeah, so my friend, my good friend Karen, who was a good friend to me for quite some years at the casino, turned up and was acting all coy around me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't trust any of them anymore. I really don't. I've got good reason to not trust any of them. But having said that, I still dance and have a good time because it's my shamanic defiance and wildness and channeling of energy into a positive outcome for me that helps me. I deserve to have a happy, beautiful life after the cards that were dealt me and the bit players, the 2-bit cheap parasitizing verminous scum, some of who didn't even wash properly. So there is that. Anyway, the decluttering is continuing, and I'm almost ready because I was actually decluttering on his orders, partially, so that I would be clean and clear and could invite him into my life, right? That's how much in love with him I was. So sad. It's sad and it's pathetic. But the decluttering isn't such a bad idea, I've got mental clarity now because I'm not surrounded by other people's stuff that's contaminated with their hatred of me and has bad trauma memories. Like I sold my mother's beautiful brass standard lamp with the little cherubs and the crystals. I sold that recently. That went far too cheap. I sold it far too cheaply. I could have got at least $600 for it. But anyway, I let that go cheap. And you know what? Once it was out of the house and gone, it was like another release, like spiritual. Whoosh. Everything I let go of my mother's that had almost like an enslavement to her energy, or a tie to her energy, or a bind to my childhood that was so fucking tainted, right? Every time I let something of my mother's like that go, it's like a whirlwind, like a whoosh, blows through the house. Not literally, but figuratively. And I feel this sense of release. And then after a while, it grinds again. Grind. What else can I release? But anyway, the money I've made, which wasn't very much money, got channeled into buying the gas for my silversmithing, and now I have to refill it, which is another $65 worth. And, and I just have to buy more silver, buy a few more tools, a few more equipment I need. And I just have to make a life for myself that doesn't involve those troglodytes and zombies and rotting, filthy, stinking, putrid entities. And just blow new life into myself, as I have done all my life, continuously regroup, reclaim, revivify, and restore and rebuild, and continuously fall in love with myself to the degree that I am happy, peaceful, successful, and free of all the negative bullshit and awful false people of the past. And it's kind of interesting that they still kind of cycle around me from time to time, you know. They still pop up like those awful clowns in the that used to be in the fairs you used to go to with their mouths going. And you just pop a ball in their mouth like gimps. Honestly, that's what they remind me of. They're just horrible, soulless, evil entities. And they know I know. Oh, they know I know. I just look at them and it's just like, almost like looking right through them because there's nothing inside them anymore. They're just so fucking empty. And even at my worst, when I was desperately mentally ill because I was suicidal and I was brutalized and distraught and terrorized and traumatized, and I spent decades like that, people, in that state. Decades. Even at my worst, I still had more soul and effervescence and vibrancy than these, well, they're creatures that, I mean, they're almost not human, except for the stink, the bestial foul stench that emanates from their loins. You know, you wouldn't consider them human, but unfortunately they do smell like feral wild animals still. So, and you know, it's like they're just so unclean. And that's not just the one with the rotting vagina. I'm talking about the others as well. And honestly, given also that everyone's probably, you know, majority of people are vaccinated, it's like there is a different smell. It's almost like they don't smell dirty per se, but there's kind of I can't put my finger on it. It's like the pheromones are not right anymore, you know? They come to me and they think they're going to turn me on, some of these men, and I just look at them with horror. I'm like... But so part of that might not have anything to do with the biological altering, gene altering thing. It might just also be the fact that I've been celibate for so long now, and I'm circumspect and I'm wary, and you know, with menopause I probably really don't have any of those sensations per se. Although I did meet that young man recently that bought the fur coat, and he was lovely. I didn't ask him actually because I thought it was just rude and a bit too personal. But I didn't think to ask him if he was vaxxed or not. Be interesting if he wasn't vaxxed though, because there was something about him that was still sexual and human, and yeah, that boy had good pheromones, I'm telling you now. But anyway, far too young for me, so I can't go there. And I wouldn't go there because it's not respectful. It's not respectable, and it's not respectful. And it'd be just a waste of my old lady energy anyway. Just make a fool of yourself. And I've been played for a fool enough by the last lover over the years. Viciousness beyond belief. So anyway, I'm just thinking about things, you know, the decluttering and the zombie apocalypse, and the little games that got played over the drumming circle. I don't know what that game is about. Why would he play a game like that with me? Like what did he hope to achieve by that? It's just completely mindless. Must have been stoned or something at the time. I don't know if he's on drugs. I really don't, but the behaviour's just so errant and weird and acopic, and mindless and stupid. He probably is. It's got all the hallmarks of someone who's not in his right mind, not grounded in reality, you know. And I'm many things. You can call me all sorts of things, but I'm very, in spite of my psychedelic dreaming, I'm very, very grounded. Anyway, those are my midnight musings. It was a scathing hot day yesterday, and I really have not been well, so I'm feeling a bit vulnerable and a bit fragile. But I'll get over it, as I always do. And time to go to sleep. So, Lila Tov, good night. Sleep well, those of you who are sleeping in the same space-time continuum as I. And wish me luck getting through the rest of today. And then I have my grandmother's suicide anniversary on the 8th of March. And then I'll start rebuilding and reclaiming and rechanneling my life again. And the ghosts from the past can just rattle their chains in their small corners of hell, because I don't belong to them anymore. I don't belong to any of them. I might be their biological prerogative, but I spiritually, I don't claim them. And the ex-lover, the last one that hung around my energy far too long, I don't claim him either. I'm setting myself free, and one day I'll meet someone that I do want to be with, that I know I can trust, who will treat me with kindness and honour and integrity and decency, will actually date me and, you know, enjoy my company and treat me with sweetness and kindness and respect. One day. By then I'll probably be a really old lady and well past the sexual interest, and maybe just find someone who's a loyal, loving friend that wants to spend time with me, because everyone else in my life has drifted away, or, you know, are too busy, and so there is that, you know. It's like I spend my life now very, very isolated and alone, and you know, it doesn't usually bother me too much. It's safer that way, and you know, the ones who truly love me and enjoy my company, like my friend on Facebook in Holland that said she wishes she could just, you know, drop in on me and spend time with me and hang out with me. I thought that was delightful. But there are people out there who do love me and care for me and make time for me, and, you know, accept my phone calls. And you know, occasionally we get together and we do fun things like go to art galleries or museums, and or picnics or hikes in the forest at Myala. And yeah, I mean, those things did used to happen, and I just have to build a life for myself where I am so independent and so prosperous that I don't really need anybody. And that way, anyone that's in my life, by the time I reach that level of equanimity, will be people that are trustworthy and noble and respectful and honouring and treat me with kindness and respect and genuine love, and not out to bleed me or cheat on me or rob me of every little bit of nourishment that I have, monetarily or you know, materially, like the other verminous parasites that I had in my life for 15 years. Oh, God, that was awful too. You know, I was so poor back in the day when I had these other friends I had, from Jewish friends from the Jewish community. Oh, my God. Oh, they were awful. When I really think back on it, I was so ill on psych meds in those days. I was just grateful to have any friends at all, and I was just in bare survival mode, and I was barely able to afford to feed myself and my two teenage daughters. And then these scum parasites would come, and they would literally open up my pantry and go, "Oh, can we have some rice to give to my brother-in-law because he's on drugs, and can we have tins of food?" And they would actually like literally raid my pantry when I myself had very limited funds to feed myself. So no, I have not forgotten, and I don't miss those people. I really don't. Like, I was only too happy to share. I'm always happy to share the abundance, and especially food in hard times. But what they did to me was really heinous. Bled me frickin' dry, and then went and manipulated with my mother and her last con artist husband. And I even forgave that. And it just went on ad nauseum. And anyway, 2015, early 2015, when I was so depressed that I knew I was suicidal, was when I finally ended that toxic friendship. And ironically, I didn't actually go down to I didn't go down that pathway until August, when I got tipped over the edge by those other bastards. But anyway, it's all good. The gods tested me. They wanted to see if I was deadly serious, and I was seriously, deadly serious. That I wanted all that malfeasance and evil to stop, or I would actively choose death. And, I passed the test on some level. I don't know how, what I did right, or what that was about, but I was kept alive in this body, in this incarnation. And then 2019, I came close to dying again. And that was really scary that time, because I was conscious that I was choosing death and still being denied it at the 11th hour on my last breath. That's when I realised, I thought, the gods aren't playing fast and loose with me. Like, they're just as serious as I am. As much as I was hoping that I could have a gentle passage out of this hellhole, this hell loop that I've been stuck in for, at that time it was 54 years, right? And now I'm nearly 58. So 54 years of hell, and again I was vomited back to earth, and I felt that I was given another chance to prove myself, to prove my worth, to bring talents to the fore that I didn't know that I had, as in with the silversmithing. And there were other things I tried in the last 4 years, like the decoupaging, although I had done a bit of decoupaging before that horrific surgery, so there is that. But I did the decoupaging, and then I did the renovating my mother's marble tables. This is all through, 2020, 2021. Renovating all the old furniture I had around the house, making things beautiful, reclaiming my space, decluttering. And what was the other thing I did? Learning silversmithing. So I think I've proved my worth, that I'm not a lazy person, and that I'm creative, and that I'm capable of making beautiful things. And relationship-wise, I think I've proved to myself that I am a woman who's worthy of true love like any other human being on this planet. But I'm just a little bit wary and circumspect. So when new men arise now, rising from their doom, and come up to me like that younger man, the Afghani man, a couple of weekends ago, telling me to let go of my ex, hoping that I'll fall madly in love with him. You know, some of these men that come to the casino, they really live in fantasy land too. They just look at you like you're just there and you're just going to fall madly in love with them just because they showed up and gave you a bit of attention, right? And it's like, life's not like that. You've got to put in the work, mate. You've got to, like, really woo us, take us out at least, make an effort, wash your jocks, put on deodorant, comb your hair, and have some kind of charisma or interest that turns our head. But they just turn up, let go of your ex. Oh, that was like a haunting, wasn't it, really? I felt haunted by that. Some stranger telling me how to feel and how to be and how to think and what to want from life. Doesn't know me from Adam. No. First thing my friend Jared said when I told him that, he was like, well, who the hell are you to tell me how to be? The song was who the hell are you to treat me like that, right? Jared said, who the hell are you to treat you like that, Tanya? He said, you're your own person. You don't have any man tell you, let go of your ex, let go of this, let go of that. And yet I have let go. I've let go of a lot of beautiful things out of this house. Things are getting pared down. I'll never, like I said earlier, I'll never be a minimalist, but things are getting trimmed right down. There's less clutter. And even then, I still won't probably let a man into my home because I can't afford one on the disability pension. I'd lose my pension and I'd lose my little bit of stability and probably lose my home as well. It's not a risk I'm prepared to take for a bit of regular argy-bargy in the sack. And someone that can't even be faithful for 2 minutes runs off with my former women friends. No. No. That's not how it's going to play out. Anyway, I'm fully conscious that I'm probably going to die alone in my little home here, slowly rotting under the oppression from the Queensland government and the federal government that stops me from having a full and vibrant life because they give you your pension but they deny you your human rights to have a loving partner and have a home and safety and sanguinity. Oh, it's bizarre. And I'm trying to make jewellery so I can get free of the state pension and have my own income, and no one buys anything I make, so that's not going to happen. I have to be realistic. But I'll keep melting my copper and melting my silver that I can acquire and turning things into beautiful things just for the sheer defiance and pleasure of being able to make things for myself, right? My health's so precarious, like, who knows how long I've got anyway. So I'll just make myself happy in my own undertakings and continuously blossom and grow and bloom and create and unfurl my lotus and dance with my gods when they allow me to dance, when I'm well enough to dance, and dream the psychedelic dream with my gods and my angels when they allow me to sleep, because I'm having a lot of insomnia these days. They say that women of a certain age that get a lot of insomnia are very likely to get dementia, so I'm a bit worried about that given my mother's demise and how that went. That was not pleasant. So I can only pray to the gods that I'm spared that fate. But the picture's not looking too good. You know, the not being able to sleep and the chronic ill health. So anyway, I'm going to sleep now and I'm going to think positive thoughts. I'm going to dream of all the things I'm going to make with all my silver smithing as I improve on my skills, and I'm going to dream like any romantic, idealistic little schoolgirl of a real man with real heart and real intentions who doesn't treat me with contempt and disdain and condescension and horror, and doesn't judge me harshly, and comes into my life in such a way that he doesn't creep me out or make me want to run screaming like the majority of them do. And that's because I've been a woman that runs with the wolves all my life for good reason. Anyway, Lila Tov, take care, dream beautifully, people. Hold true to your true beloveds, the ones who uphold you and honour you and love you no matter what, and are there with you, by your side, with pride and dignity and honour, and sharing and caring and decency. Because if you have a love partner like that, you don't know how lucky you are. Good night.